Hi everyone, David Maley here. Today I'm going to show you some data wrangling with Excel. I use this stuff all the time, and a lot of financial analysts, marketing analysts, pricing analysts use these same formulas. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you today how to do running totals and a conditional running total. So this data set I have here is freely available on the internet. It's the bike share utility or bike share data set from the University of California, Irving's data science department. And basically what it does, it shows you in a one from the days of 2011 and 2012 as to how many bike sharing registries they had. So how many people registered or were subscribers, and how many people were new users of their bike share service. And so you could rent a bike, and if you were new, you went into casual. If you were a returning user, you went into registered, and then the total count was right here, CNT. And it goes in order, so you have 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4. If it didn't, you could easily go and click here and right click and reorder it, smallest to largest or whatever. But in this case, what I want to do is I want to have a running total. So we're going to call it RT, and I want to see, because right here the count is just the count. It's not a running total. I want to see from 1/1 through till 2012, which the data shows me for 2011, 2012. I want to see what the cumulative count would be of the total rentals per day. And then I also want to see a conditional running total. So I'm going to do two different things. We'll start with the running total. So first, what I want to do is I want to take the count, and I want a running total of the count, not the register or the casual. This is the total for each day. So you can see this equals these two. So what I want is there's going to have to be a formula here, obviously. Now, if I were to just do this value plus the one in front of it, so let's just say I was to do P2 plus Q1, which would be you would think that would be the right value for this. Let's see, go to this here. So if we did this and we put a parenthesis here, if we did that and we hit enter, that's the problem we get here. We get a unknown value, and the reason being is it can't take this P2 and add it to Q1 because it would work going down. So watch this. If I did this going down, it won't work because it doesn't know this value and it can't carry it in. If I did it as P2 plus P1, it would actually get that, but that's not correct either. So watch. If I did this and then I carried it down, look at the difference. It would actually bring in the values because it can pick the second value. It can't if I do Q1. But what we really need here is to change this so that it would be Q1, and then we would need a if, not an if, an if error, right? So let's put that in there. So what we'd really want would be this, and that's the regular value, but if there's an error, which would be when it's trying to put this one in because there's no value in there, that's what caused that problem earlier. We want to have, if there's a problem, we just want the P2 value. So see, P2 is this value. So what we want to do is hit enter. That gives me that first value. So it says that if there's an error here, it's just going to use this one because it can't read this one. But when there's not, so in this case, it's going to read this one and add them up. So what I want to do is take that and bring that down, right? And you can see clearly that it works, and it gives me a running total that goes all the way down the whole list of data till the end. And I believe the end should be, well, let's open up the date field here a little bit, 12/31, the end of 2012. Okay, so we've got an actual running total that goes all the way through. You can see at the end you have 3 million rentals, 3.2 million to be exact. So, but if now you would say, well, what about using P1? So we carry down these. That wouldn't be correct. It wouldn't give you an actual running total. If I use P1 in here, the problem would be, watch this. It looks at the beginning like it would be right, but do you see how the numbers go up and then all of a sudden they go down? That's not a running total, and the reason being is it's not taking the number from here it's taking this plus this to this, right? Which means that as it gets higher, it's all of a sudden it stops because it's not taking the cumulative number, it's taking the next number in the count column in the prior column, the prior number. That would not be a correct running total. So we need to have this value right here needs to be, in this case, this column, it would have to be Q1. So then you just do this, and then you carry it. Watch what happens here. Instead of these lower numbers where it's no longer running total, now it's a running total again. Okay. Next, what I want to do is just a little bit tougher. Okay, is the idea of a conditional running total. Okay, conditional means it's based on something else happening. So what we want is, instead of doing just the running total of everything being running total together, what I want to do is I want to take this column O, and see this is the registered or subscribed users. Let's open this up a little bit here so you can see it better. And what I want to do is, if the registered users are 1,000 or greater, so as you see here, this one's not, this one's not, this one is, or I'm sorry, we're looking at registered, not count. So these two are not, these 5 or 6 values right here are, these are not. So anything that's above 1,000, I want to include, I want to do a running total for that, but I don't want to do a running total for anything that's less than 1,000, so 999 and less. So how would I do that? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to use a couple of ifs and if errors blended together. Okay, and I'll show you why. So first, what we want to do is use an if, and I'm going to start this off with obviously the column O, so we're going to use this one, right? So that's the first one there, and if that, and then we'll carry it down, and I'll show you how to do that again. You right click on this when I'm done. But what I'm going to do is I want if O2, in this case, you know, this value right here is greater than 999, which means it's 1,000 or above. Obviously, if I was using decimals here, it would have to be 999.99 or, you know, something like that. Or we could use if it's less than, you know, or equal to. There's different ways to do this. In this case, this is the correct way I'd want to do it. So if it's that, then it's going to do this. Now, what I want is if, now in this case we've got to go and bring in the values of our running total. So if R1, so R1 is going to be this value here, equals 0. Okay, if it equals 0, I want to carry in the P2 value. Okay, but if it's not equal to 0, so it's got a value in there, I want to carry that running total on down. Okay, so what I'm going to use is the same thing we just used, which is the if error. Okay, and what we do then is we say the same thing. So we got that P2 plus R1, not P1, R1, as I showed you in the earlier one. And then we have the P2 again. This is the exact same, this is just the exact same if error statement that we have in column Q that we carried on down. Okay, and then we have to have a comma 0 at the end. So that, there's a reason for this. So the 0 is the error. So if the value is not this, we want it to be set to a 0. Now, do you see the color coding here? You can tell if you're at the end and you filled in all of your parentheses correctly. So if this thing gives you an error at the end and says, oh, you know, you don't have the right parentheses, you don't have the right number of them, you have an extra one, look at the color coding. That's what's nice in Excel, is you can go look at this and see where, you know, your problem is. Obviously, if it's black, that is the matching one for that. Here's the matching green one, and here's the matching purple ones. Okay, and it'll tell you which, you know, you have, which field values you have in there, and so on by the color coding. And you can see them here. This one's purple, this one's blue. Anyway, so what we have here is you have an if statement nested in an if, nested inside, or an if error nested in an if, nested in an if. Okay, and what this does is it's going to give me the correct cumulative total. So let's hit enter here, based on the value of O2 in this. And if I carry it on down, it's going to carry it on down for every, so we just right click, we click on this, and then we just click. See this right here? You don't right click on it, you're going to left click on it. Right when it gets to that little plus sign. Not here, right there. We just double click on it. Boom. And it goes down. And watch, because we used the if error in there, it's got, once it hits 1,000, once the registered right here column hits 1,000, boom, it puts it in here. And it's going to add, but it's not putting this value in there. It's putting the count value in here. So that's what the important distinction here is. I'm basing my same running total on the count field based on the registered value. It could be any value anywhere I want here. In this case, I used registered or subscribed users, is what it's called, or that's what these are. And so anytime this hits 1,000, I carry this value right here and plop it right in here. And then the next time, because there's a value in here, what it does is says, as long as it's 1,000, I'm going to take this value if it's not equal to 0, and I'm going to take this value and I'm going to add them up and put them in here. If it's equal to 0, as it did here, it just takes this value right here and puts it in here. So you've got this time it takes this value, and it takes this value here and puts it in here. It takes this value and this value here and puts it in here, and it carries on down. Then when it gets to this one, if it hits this, where this is less than 1,000, the end says, oh, in this case, opt out, and we're just going to put a 0 in here. So that's basically what this long formula is. It's not that complex. It's just saying that if O2, which is, we'll just explain it to you again, if O2 at the very beginning, this one, is greater than 999, if it's 1,000 or above, then what we're going to do is if R1, which is right here, equals 0, right? If it equals 0, then we'd add P2. But in this case, O2 is not greater than that, so it gets a 0, and there's the 0. Same thing here. And then this one here, because O2 is greater than 1,000, if R1 equals 0, which it does in this, well, in this case it would be R2, okay, because we're going down the rows, then it does P2, right? So that it wouldn't be P2, it would be this value, P3, or yeah, P4, I'm sorry, at that time. And that goes in here. And so on down the list, and obviously then it sets it back to 0. So this is a conditional running total, and this is a running total. So now you know how to, if you need to do, you do this a lot in financial numbers, you want to see a running total, how much was that expense, how many items did we do, how much shrinkage did we have, how much money did it cost, things like that. You could do a running total and figure out quickly how much your total is, but that's going to do the total for the whole thing. What I just showed you also was with a conditional running total, you could say, okay, in certain circumstances, in this case where registered users is over 1,000, I want the running total to run. But if it doesn't meet that, I want it set to 0. I could set it to anything. I could set it to 1. I could set it to anything I want. And I could have used multiple conditionals. I could have said, well, what if I just wanted registered is 1,000 and above, and casual is less than, or some number. So I want to see where registered hits a certain value, but casual stays under a certain value. I could have done that too, and I could put 2 of them in here. Okay, but it would be basically the same kind of concept here and same formula. So you've seen how to do 2 very popular and well-used formulas in Excel that'll help you tremendously with data analysis and data wrangling and trying to figure out, how to see the data in a different light. How to, and then you can graph this. You can put in a pivot table and say, okay, here's the running total based on that. And I could even total these up over, I could put them in another column. I could do whatever I want. We'll show you some other things, some other great videos I have coming up. But again, this shows you a wonderful way to use Excel to get running totals and conditional running totals. Thanks for watching. I hope this was helpful to you. It shows you step by step how to do it. Please watch my other videos here. I got a lot of great videos on data wrangling, data analysis, data science, graphing, pulling different numbers, wrangling the data, pulling the data back, and getting what you need for your users. Hope it was helpful. Please subscribe and like this video, and have a great day. Thank you.